The most soothing facts about rain to fall asleep to. Hello and welcome back. Tonight we're going to slow down together and drift gently into one of the most calming sounds in the natural world. Rain, not storms, not chaos. Just the soft, steady rhythm of rainfall moving quietly through the darkness. Somewhere on Earth right now, rain is falling across forests, across rooftops, across silent country roads and sleeping cities. Tiny drops travelling from clouds to soil exactly as they have for hundreds of millions of years. Long before human beings existed, rain was already here, falling softly into ancient oceans, feeding rivers, cooling stone. The world has always known this rhythm, and perhaps somewhere deep inside us, the nervous system remembers it too. So allow your breathing to slow, let your jaw unclench, and for a little while tonight, leave behind the noise of the day. Together we'll explore some of the most peaceful and fascinating facts about rain, weather, sleep, and the quiet relationship between water and the human mind. Slowly enough for your thoughts to soften and your body to drift naturally toward rest. Let's begin. Rain begins invisibly. Before a single drop falls from the sky, tiny particles floating high in the atmosphere quietly gather moisture around themselves. Dust, sea salt, microscopic fragments carried upward by the wind. Water vapor slowly condenses around these particles until clouds begin forming overhead. In a way, every rainfall begins with something almost impossibly small. Tiny invisible beginnings, eventually becoming rivers, lakes, forests, and oceans. And perhaps healing often works this way too. Not through dramatic transformations, but through small, gentle changes gathering slowly over time. One calm evening, one full breath, one quiet night where the nervous system finally feels safe enough to rest. Rainfall has a naturally calming effect on the human brain. Researchers studying sound and sleep discovered that steady environmental sounds help mask sudden, unpredictable noises. This creates a phenomenon called auditory masking. The brain relaxes because the environment feels stable, predictable, safe. Rain does not demand attention. It asks for nothing. It simply continues softly in the background while the nervous system slowly lowers its guard. Perhaps this is why rainy nights feel comforting to so many people. The brain is constantly scanning for danger. But consistent, gentle sounds signal something important. Nothing alarming is changing. You can rest now. The smell that rises after rain has a name, petrichor. Scientists discovered this earthy, calming scent comes partly from oils released by plants during dry periods, combined with compounds produced by soil bacteria. When rain touches the ground, these tiny particles rise into the air, and the human brain responds to them almost immediately. Many researchers believe humans evolved to associate the smell of rain with survival and renewal. Rain meant fresh water, cooler temperatures, growing plants, life returning to the land. Perhaps this is why the scent of rain feels strangely emotional sometimes. Not just pleasant, but ancient, familiar, like a memory carried quietly inside the body. Some deserts can wait years for rain, and then suddenly, after only a single storm, life appears almost everywhere at once. Seeds buried beneath dry soil begin waking. Tiny flowers bloom, insects emerge, the landscape transforms seemingly overnight. But the remarkable thing is this: the seeds were alive the entire time, simply waiting for the right conditions. And perhaps people are sometimes like this too. Periods of exhaustion do not always mean something inside you has died. Sometimes the nervous system is simply waiting for enough safety, enough quiet, enough rest. Bloom again. Rain itself is surprisingly soft. Even during heavy rainfall, most raindrops fall far slower than many people imagine. Air resistance slows them dramatically as they descend. Large raindrops often reach speeds of only around 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. Gentle enough that forests, lakes, soil, and living creatures can absorb them without destruction. Nature often survives through softness rather than force. Water shapes stone not through violence, but through patience. Tiny moments repeated over very long periods of time. And perhaps calmness changes the nervous system similarly. Little by little, night after night, breath by breath, some rainforests create their own rain. Trees release enormous amounts of water vapor through tiny openings in their leaves. This moisture rises into the atmosphere, helping form clouds above the forest itself. In a sense, the forest participates in creating the rain that keeps it alive. The system sustains itself quietly through endless invisible cooperation. And perhaps human beings are more interconnected this way than we realize too. Calm spreads between nervous systems. So does stress. Safe environments help people soften. Gentle voices lower heart rates. Quiet spaces change thought patterns. The body is always responding to the emotional climate surrounding it. Rain sounds belong to a category scientists sometimes call pink noise. Unlike sudden sharp sounds, pink noise distributes sound energy more evenly across frequencies. Many sleep researchers believe this creates a smoother, more balanced listening experience for the brain. Some studies even suggest pink noise may improve deep sleep and memory consolidation. Perhaps this explains why rain sounds feel different from ordinary noise. Not stimulating, not demanding, just steady enough for the mind to slowly drift, almost like acoustic reassurance. A reminder that the world is calm enough tonight to let go for a while. Lightning can heat the air around it to temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun, and yet the flash itself lasts only a fraction of a second. The atmosphere briefly reshapes itself through enormous energy before returning once again to quiet darkness. Even storms eventually soften, even turbulence passes. The nervous system sometimes forgets this during difficult periods. Stress can make painful moments feel permanent. But nature quietly demonstrates another truth over and over again. Nothing stays at full intensity forever. Clouds move, seasons change, rain falls, then clears. The human nervous system responds strongly to visual softness, fog, rain on windows, dim lighting, slow movement. Researchers studying environmental psychology found that softer visual environments reduce mental overstimulation and help the brain enter calmer states. Perhaps this is why rainy evenings feel cinematic. The world loses sharpness, edges blur gently, light becomes softer. The pace of life appears to slow, and for a few quiet moments, the nervous system stops bracing against the world quite so intensely. Many people sleep better during rainstorms, not because rain removes problems, but because the sound creates emotional shelter. Inside a warm room while rain falls outside, the brain experiences contrast, protection and weather, warmth and cold, safety and distance. And perhaps the nervous system finds deep comfort in that feeling. To rest while the world outside grows softer and quieter. To hear rain tapping gently against windows while blankets grow warmer. To feel held briefly inside a calm protected space. Tonight, as your breathing grows slower, as your thoughts become quieter, perhaps your mind is remembering something ancient. That rest is natural. That softness is not weakness. That healing often happens invisibly, like rain gathering slowly inside clouds long before the first drop falls. And somewhere tonight, beyond the ceiling, beyond the city lights, rain is still falling softly through the darkness. Worker bees live remarkably short lives. During the busy summer months, a worker bee may live only 5 or 6 weeks. Her days are filled almost entirely with labour, cleaning the hive, feeding larvae, building wax combs, guarding entrances, gathering nectar beneath the sun. She works until her wings become worn and fragile from flight. And yet, despite such a brief life, the hive continues generation after generation. No single bee sustains the colony alone. The hive survives through continuity, through thousands of small lives contributing quietly to something larger than themselves. And perhaps there is something strangely comforting in that thought. The world has always moved through cooperation more than individual effort. Forests depend on rain. Flowers depend on bees. Rivers depend on snowmelt. Life quietly supports life in ways often invisible to us. Bees are essential pollinators for much of the food humans eat. Many fruits, vegetables, nuts, and flowering plants rely partly on pollination performed by bees. Apples, blueberries, almonds, cucumbers, pumpkins. Entire ecosystems depend upon tiny insects moving patiently between blossoms. Without pollinators, landscapes themselves begin changing. Fields grow quieter. Harvest becomes smaller. The balance of flowering life shifts slowly over time. And perhaps this reminds us that even the smallest living creatures can shape the world profoundly. Not through force, but through quiet repetition, one flower at a time. Honeycomb is built using hexagons for a remarkable reason. For centuries, mathematicians and scientists have admired the efficiency of the honeycomb structure. Hexagons store the greatest amount of material while using the least wax possible. No wasted space. No unnecessary excess. A balance between strength and efficiency emerging naturally through instinct. And perhaps there is something deeply calming about patterns found repeatedly throughout nature. Snowflakes, waves, tree rings, galaxies. The nervous system often relaxes around symmetry and rhythm. The brain recognizes order, even subconsciously. Perhaps this is why natural forms feel soothing to look at, because somewhere deep within the mind, patterns signal stability. The temperature inside a healthy hive remains astonishingly controlled. Even during cold nights or intense summer heat, bees work collectively to regulate the hive's environment. In winter, they cluster together and vibrate their muscles to generate warmth. In summer, they fan their wings to circulate cooler air through the hive. Thousands of tiny creatures adjusting continuously to protect the colony, not rigidly, but adaptively, responding gently to changing conditions. And perhaps healthy nervous systems function similarly. Not by remaining perfectly calm at all times, but by learning how to return to balance after stress passes. Honey crystallizes naturally over time. Many people mistakenly believe crystallized honey has spoiled, but crystallization is simply part of honey's natural chemistry. Glucose slowly separates from water and forms tiny crystals within the jar. Some varieties crystallize quickly, others remain liquid for years. Temperature also changes the process, and yet even after crystallizing, honey remains perfectly usable. Nothing essential has been lost. Only its form has changed temporarily. Perhaps people are sometimes like this too. Stress can harden parts of us for a while. Exhaustion can make emotions feel distant. The nervous system adapts to difficult seasons, but softness often returns slowly with warmth, safety, and rest. A bee's wings beat around 200 times every second, fast enough to create the familiar humming sound associated with gardens and summer afternoons. This gentle vibration fills fields quietly while bees move from flower to flower beneath the sunlight. And interestingly, many humans find soft humming sounds deeply relaxing. Researchers studying sound therapy discovered that low-frequency continuous sounds may help reduce mental hypervigilance. Predictable sound allows the brain to stop monitoring the environment so intensely. Perhaps this is why rainfall, ocean waves, fan noise, and distant humming feels strangely comforting at night. The nervous system softens when the world sounds stable. For ancient Egyptians, honey carried sacred meaning. It was placed inside tombs, offered to the gods, and used in healing rituals. Many cultures throughout history viewed honey as more than food. It symbolized abundance, warmth, health, even immortality. And perhaps part of honey's enduring emotional power comes from this long relationship with humanity itself. Generation after generation, people have associated honey with comfort, warm drinks before sleep, healing remedies passed quietly through families, simple moments of care shared between people. The brain stores emotional meaning around rituals. And comforting rituals often survive for centuries because they continue calming the nervous system over and over again. Bees navigate using both memory and sunlight. A forager bee can remember complex routes between flowers and return precisely to productive feeding areas. Even across long distances, she maintains orientation using the position of the sun and patterns of polarized light invisible to human eyes. Tiny minds performing astonishing calculations continuously. Nature contains far more intelligence than humans once imagined. Not loud intelligence, not technological intelligence, but adaptive intelligence shaped patiently through evolution. And perhaps there is something restful about remembering that life does not require constant urgency to become extraordinary. Some of the most remarkable systems on Earth operate quietly, slowly, without applause. Honey contains traces of entire landscapes. Mountain flowers create different honey than coastal wildflowers. Rainfall changes nectar composition, soil changes plant chemistry, even seasons subtly shape flavour. Every jar becomes a small golden memory of a particular place and time, a summer preserved, a meadow distilled, and perhaps human memory works similarly too. Moments remain stored quietly inside us. Certain songs, certain smells rain against windows. Warm tea late at night. The nervous system carries emotional landscapes much longer than we realise. Perhaps this is why peaceful memories can feel almost physical sometimes, like warmth returning gently to the body. Tonight, as the world grows quieter around you, as your breathing becomes softer, perhaps your mind is beginning to loosen its grip on the day. Thoughts drifting more slowly now, the nervous system settling little by little. And somewhere beyond the darkness, in hidden hives beneath trees and starlight, bees are still carrying tiny drops of sunlight home. Inside the hive, every bee changes roles throughout her life. Young worker bees begin as caretakers. They clean empty cells, feed developing larvae, tend carefully to the growing brood deep within the warmth of the hive. As they age, their responsibilities slowly shift. Some begin building wax comb. Others receive nectar from returning foragers. Others stand guard at the entrance, protecting the colony from intruders. And eventually, in the final stage of their short lives, many become foragers, leaving the safety of the hive for the open world, flying beneath sunlight, searching fields and forests for flowers. It is a life shaped not by status, but by quiet usefulness. Each bee responding naturally to what the colony needs most in that moment. No central authority, no leader giving orders. Only thousands of tiny decisions unfolding together in remarkable harmony. And perhaps healthy systems often work this way. Not through constant control, but through responsiveness, adaptation, balance. The hive behaves almost like a living mind spread across thousands of bodies. If the hive grows too warm, bees begin fanning their wings. If nectar becomes abundant, more foragers leave the hive. If larvae need feeding, nurse bees respond immediately. The colony constantly adjusts itself through signals, vibration, scent, and instinct. A kind of biological intelligence emerging naturally from cooperation. And perhaps there is something deeply calming about that idea. Life does not always require force to remain organised. Sometimes balance arises quietly through connection. Honey has accompanied human healing for thousands of years. Long before modern medicine, long before pharmacies and laboratories, people turned to honey for comfort and recovery. Ancient Egyptians placed honey on wounds. Greek physicians recommended it for sore throats and digestive discomfort. Traditional Chinese medicine used honey to calm inflammation and restore balance within the body. And interestingly, modern science later confirmed many of these ancient observations. Honey naturally resists bacterial growth. Its acidity, low moisture content, and natural enzymes create an environment where many microbes struggle to survive. Researchers discovered that certain types of honey can even help wounds heal more efficiently, particularly Manuka honey, produced from flowering Manuka trees in New Zealand. Hospitals now use medical-grade honey in specialised wound care treatments. Ancient intuition quietly meeting modern science. And perhaps there is something comforting in realising that nature often understood healing long before humans fully explained it. A spoonful of honey before bed may also help soothe coughing during illness. Studies found that honey can reduce nighttime coughing and improve sleep quality, especially in children over 1 year old and adults. Its thick texture coats the throat gently. Warmth, softness, relief. Sometimes the simplest remedies remain powerful because they work with the body rather than against it. And perhaps this is why comforting rituals endure for generations. Warm tea before sleep. Rain against windows. Dim evening light. The nervous system remembers what feels safe. Bees are among the most important pollinators on Earth. Many of the foods humans rely upon exist partly because bees carry pollen quietly between flowers. Apples, blueberries, cherries, melons, almonds. Entire landscapes depend upon this invisible partnership between flowering plants and tiny flying insects. The bees do not realise they are supporting ecosystems. They are simply gathering nectar. And yet through their ordinary behaviour, forests bloom, crops grow, and life continues. Perhaps meaning in life often works similarly. Small actions sometimes shape the world far more than we realise. One conversation, one kindness, one peaceful moment shared with another person. Quiet things matter. Honey naturally changes over time. Liquid honey may slowly crystallise inside the jar, becoming thick and grainy. But this does not mean it has spoiled. The sugars simply rearrange themselves gradually into a more stable form. With gentle warmth, the honey softens again. Nothing essential was lost, only transformed temporarily. And perhaps people experience difficult seasons similarly. Stress can harden the nervous system. Exhaustion can make emotions feel distant, but beneath the tension, softness often remains, waiting quietly for warmth and rest to return. At the centre of the hive lives the queen bee. Larger than the workers, she spends most of her life laying eggs deep within the comb. At peak season, a healthy queen may lay thousands of eggs every day. Yet despite her importance, she rarely leaves the hive. The workers feed her, protect her, care for her continuously. And through chemical signals called pheromones, her presence helps maintain stability throughout the colony. If the queen weakens or disappears, the hive senses it almost immediately. A new queen begins to emerge. The colony adapts once again. Nature rarely depends entirely on permanence. It survives through renewal. Young worker bees create beeswax using tiny glands beneath their abdomens. The wax emerges as delicate, translucent flakes. The bees chew and soften these flakes carefully before shaping them into honeycomb. Cell by cell, wall by wall, the familiar hexagonal structure slowly appears. And remarkably, hexagons are among the most efficient shapes found in nature. They store the greatest amount of material while using the least amount of wax. Strong, balanced, elegant. For centuries, mathematicians and engineers have admired the geometry of the hive. But the bees themselves do not calculate equations. They simply follow instincts refined slowly across millions of years. Nature often creates extraordinary beauty without hurry, without ego, without noise. Honey also contains tiny amounts of antioxidants, minerals, and plant compounds gathered from flowers. Different flowers create different honey. Wildflower honey tastes different from lavender honey. Forest honey differs from orange blossom honey. Colour changes too. Some jars glow pale gold like morning sunlight, others appear dark amber like polished wood. Each one shaped quietly by weather, soil, flowers, seasons, and bees. A landscape transformed into sweetness, a memory preserved in liquid form. Perhaps this is why honey feels strangely alive compared to processed sugar. It still carries traces of the natural world within it. Even the scent of honey can feel calming, warm, floral, earthy. The nervous system responds strongly to sensory memory. Certain smells instantly reconnect people to childhood kitchens, quiet evenings, or moments of comfort long forgotten. A single scent can soften the mind before conscious thought even begins. Researchers believe smell connects deeply to emotional memory because olfactory pathways interact closely with areas of the brain involved in emotion and recall. Perhaps this explains why comforting smells feel almost physical sometimes, like warmth returning quietly to the body. Bees have existed on Earth for more than 100 million years, long before human civilization, before written language, before cities rose across continents. Bees were already gathering nectar beneath prehistoric skies. Flowers and bees evolved together slowly over immense stretches of time. Plants developed blossoms to attract pollinators. Bees developed specialized bodies to collect pollen and nectar more efficiently. A partnership shaped patiently through evolution. And astonishingly, much of what bees do today remains fundamentally unchanged from ancient ages. The same dances, the same honeycomb, the same quiet humming beneath summer sunlight. Some rhythms survive because they work beautifully. Perhaps the nervous system longs for this kind of continuity too. Something ancient, steady, reliable. Tonight, as the world grows quieter around you, as your thoughts drift more slowly, perhaps your body is beginning to remember something simple. That healing does not always arrive dramatically. Sometimes it gathers softly, like nectar, drop by drop, moment by moment, until one day, what once felt scattered becomes golden again. Even bees need sleep. Researchers observing honeybees discovered that resting bees become still and quiet, their antennae drooping gently as their bodies enter a sleep-like state. Younger bees resting in short intervals throughout the hive. Older foragers sleeping more deeply at night after long days spent travelling between flowers. And interestingly, when bees are deprived of rest, their communication begins to suffer. Their famous waggle dances become less precise, navigation becomes more difficult. Even tiny nervous systems require recovery. Perhaps there is something deeply comforting about that. Nature itself depends upon rest, not just humans, not just mammals, but even creatures no larger than your thumb. The rhythm of effort and recovery exists everywhere in the living world. The hive works because the bees eventually pause. The body heals because cells eventually rest. The mind softens because consciousness cannot remain alert forever. Rest is not laziness. It is biology. Honey itself changes constantly depending on its environment. Because honey absorbs moisture from the air, its texture shifts naturally with temperature and humidity. In warm conditions, it becomes smooth and fluid. In cooler air, it thickens slowly into crystals. Responsive, adaptive, always interacting with the world around it. And perhaps people are not so different. The nervous system changes according to environment too. Stressful spaces create tension. Gentle spaces create softness. The body listens quietly to light, sound, temperature, rhythm, and emotion every moment of the day. Perhaps healing begins partly through changing the atmosphere surrounding us. More quiet, more slowness, more safety. Researchers have even discovered that bees possess surprisingly advanced forms of intelligence. In experiments, bees learn to recognize patterns, count small quantities, and even understand the concept of zero. Tiny brains solving surprisingly complex problems. A reminder that intelligence does not always appear where humans expect it. Nature often hides brilliance inside small, fragile things. Inside flowers, inside forests, inside creatures most people barely notice at all. Honey has also preserved food for centuries. Before refrigeration existed, people used honey to protect fruits, herbs, and even meats from spoilage. Its antimicrobial properties created natural preservation long before modern technology arrived. Ancient civilizations trusted honey because it endured, patient, stable, resilient against time itself. And perhaps there is something emotionally calming about enduring things. Rain returning every season, stars appearing every night, bees gathering nectar generation after generation. Some patterns remain dependable even as the world changes around us. A single hive produces different honey throughout the year. Spring blossoms create lighter honey. Summer wildflowers create darker, richer flavours. The same bees, the same hive, yet constantly changing with the seasons. Nature resists perfect sameness. And perhaps people are meant to change with seasons too. Periods of growth, periods of exhaustion, periods of quiet healing. The nervous system was never designed to bloom continuously without rest. Bees see the world differently than humans do. Their eyes detect ultraviolet patterns hidden inside flowers, signals invisible to human sight. To a bee, many blossoms glow with secret pathways guiding them toward nectar. An entirely different version of reality existing quietly alongside our own. And perhaps this too is comforting. To remember that the world contains more beauty than we can fully perceive, more complexity, more wonder, more hidden patterns waiting quietly beneath ordinary life. Throughout history, honey appeared in myths, rituals, sacred texts, and ancient medicine across cultures around the world. People associated it with abundance, healing, warmth, even divine blessing. Golden sweetness gathered from flowers by tiny winged creatures must have felt almost magical to ancient civilizations. And perhaps part of that feeling still survives today. Honey still feels different from ordinary sweetness, more alive somehow, more connected to sunlight, flowers, and memory. Bees navigate largely through scent. Their world is filled with invisible chemical signals carried gently through the air. Flowers release fragrances that guide foragers toward nectar. Each hive develops its own unique scent. Guard bees recognize returning colony members partly through smell alone. The hive communicates continuously through signals humans cannot perceive directly, an unseen language drifting softly through darkness. Perhaps much of life works this way. Invisible emotional signals, quiet atmospheres, feelings sensed more than spoken. The nervous system understands far more than words alone. Honey, discovered in ancient tombs and shipwrecks, has sometimes survived thousands of years without spoiling. Still recognizable, still golden, still preserved against time. In a world where so much disappears quickly, there is something strangely peaceful about substances capable of enduring centuries quietly in darkness. Honey waits patiently, unhurried by time, and perhaps tonight, your nervous system is searching for something similar, something stable, something soft, something ancient enough to trust. Inside the hive, bees also communicate through vibration, tiny movements passing information through wax combs and clustered bodies, a language felt rather than heard. The hive exists inside constant subtle rhythm, vibration, movement, hum. And perhaps this is why rhythmic sound calms humans so deeply too. Breathing, rainfall, ocean waves, soft piano in darkness. The nervous system relaxes around gentle, predictable patterns. Some ancient part of the brain realizing nothing dangerous is changing right now. You are safe enough to let go. For thousands of years, humans transformed honey into mead, one of the oldest known fermented drinks. Ancient celebrations, weddings, and gatherings often included honey wine shared beneath firelight and stars. Even the word honeymoon may trace back to traditions involving honey and marriage, a sweetness associated with comfort, connection, and new beginnings. And still today, honey remains woven quietly into human life. Warm tea during illness, desserts shared with family, candlelit kitchens late at night, simple moments carrying softness through ordinary days. Bees themselves are remarkable flyers. tiny aviators capable of travelling miles across landscapes while carrying nectar nearly equal to their own body weight. For centuries, scientists struggled to understand exactly how bees fly so effectively. Their movement seemed almost impossible according to older aerodynamic theories. And yet the bees continued flying anyway. Nature often succeeds without needing permission from human understanding. And perhaps there is something beautiful in that too. Life contains forms of intelligence deeper than explanation. Honey also became part of skincare and healing rituals across centuries. Its ability to retain moisture and calm irritation made it valuable not only for eating, but for soothing the body externally as well. Warmth, protection, gentleness, again and again. Honey returns to the same emotional themes humanity has always associated with comfort. And perhaps that is why tonight's journey feels so calming. Because beneath all the science and history, honey reminds us of something the nervous system longs to remember, that life does not need to move so quickly. That softness can still exist in the world. That healing often arrives quietly, like sunlight stored patiently inside flowers. And now, as your breathing grows slower, as the mind drifts gently further from the day, perhaps it is time to simply rest. If this peaceful journey through the world of honey brought you even a little calm tonight, gently like the video and subscribe to Better Sleep for more soothing sleep stories, relaxing science, and peaceful bedtime documentaries every week. And for now, there is nothing else.